The road from the city ends here. Not suddenly, it just gets narrower, and then the stones get older, and then there's only a track through dry grass, and then the track ends too. You've been walking since the afternoon. The light now is that particular amber that comes in the last hour before sunset, when everything turns golden and slightly unreal. The grass catches it, the stones catch it, even the dust your feet stir up catches it and glows. Ahead of you, the ruins begin. They rise gradually out of the plain. First, just a few broken columns at the edge of a low hill, pale against the sky. Then more as you walk. A long wall with gaps in it like missing teeth, a stretch of paving stones half buried in sediment, the beginning of what might once have been a gate. The Campagna stretches out behind you, the wide flat land south of the city, all dry fields and scattered farmhouses, the kind of landscape that makes you feel small in a comfortable way. It's quiet here. There is a breeze, just enough to move the grass. A bird calls somewhere in the stones ahead, a low flat sound, and then stops. You stop too for a moment and look. The ruins run for a long distance. You can't see the end of them from where you stand. To the left, a row of columns still standing, or mostly standing, their capitals missing, their bases sunk into the ground. To the right, an open space, a courtyard or a forum maybe, where the paving stones are still intact, a grid of pale grey limestone showing through the weeds. Somewhere deeper in, a wall rises high enough to have real shadows in it. The air smells of dry stone and time. Something is flowering nearby, something small and purple growing out of a crack in an old brick wall. You can't see it yet, but you can smell it. You start walking toward the gate. The archway is still standing, just. The stones above it are held by old decisions, the pressure of one block against another, a geometry of weight that's been working without interruption for 2,000 years. You walk through it slowly, looking up. The keystone is darkened with age, stained in long vertical lines from rain. Someone carved something in the stone to the left of the arch, a few letters that the weather has made almost unreadable. You can make out part of a name. Beyond the arch, the first courtyard opens up. It's larger than you expected. Perhaps 60 paces across, perhaps more. It's hard to judge without anything to compare it to. The paving stones are still here, cracked and heaved up by roots in places, but mostly intact. Weeds push up through every seam. Some of them are tall enough to brush your hand as you walk close. The columns around the edge of the courtyard are broken at different heights. Some are just stumps, a meter or so off the ground. Others reach twice your height. 3 times, ending in nothing, no capital, no lintel, just open sky where there was once a roof. The shadows between them are deep and cool. You walk to the center of the courtyard and stand there. The city sounds are gone now, not since the gate. There's just the breeze, and the very distant sound of a bird, and somewhere behind the far wall, water. A thin sound, almost imagined. You listen for it, and then lose it, and then find it again. The last of the sun is on the tops of the walls. Down here in the courtyard, it's already starting to be evening. The light is softer. The stone is still warm. You can feel it through your shoes, but the air is cooler. There's that particular smell that old stone gets in the evening when the day's heat starts releasing. something between mineral and dust and time. You stand there for a while, then you walk toward the far end where the columns are still standing. The hall runs east to west, or something close to it. You know because the last of the light comes through from the west end, between the columns, in long horizontal bars that move across the floor as the sun goes down. By the time you reach the middle of the hall, the light bars have stretched and narrowed and turned from amber to something closer to rose. The columns are close enough together that you could touch both of them with your arms spread. The stone is warm, still holding the heat of the day, even though the air between them is cool. When you put your hand flat against one, you can feel something almost like a pulse. Not a pulse, just the warmth, which feels alive in comparison to everything else. The floor here is different from the courtyard. Smaller stones, laid in a pattern you can still make out in places. A broad border, then a field of alternating pale and dark stone, most of it covered now by dirt and debris, but the edges still showing. Whoever laid this floor was thinking about it. They had an idea of how it would look when someone stood at one end and looked down. You stand at one end and look down. The columns recede in rows, their shadows crossing and recrossing on the floor. At the far end, a section of wall is still standing, with a window opening in it. Just a gap, no frame, no glass, and through that gap the sky is going from blue to something deeper. One star is visible, just one, the first. A leaf blows in from somewhere and skips across the paving stones. You listen to it. The hall smells of stone and dust and something slightly sweet. Some plant growing in the debris at the base of the far wall, invisible from here. The breeze comes down the hall toward you from the west, gentle, just enough to move the air. You stay there for a while, in the middle of the columns, watching the light change. Whoever planned this garden planned it carefully. You can still see it, the logic of it, underneath everything that's grown over it. The central path is still straight, still paved with the same pale limestone, though the stones have been pushed apart by roots, and the path itself sits a foot lower than the planting beds on either side. Low walls of brick edge both sides. Most of the bricks are still ablaze. What's growing in the beds now is wild, tall grasses and something with silver leaves that moves in the breeze. A rose bush that has grown enormous over the years, its canes arching up and over one of the low walls. Its flowers small and pale, almost white or a very faded pink. The smell of them reaches you before you see them. You stop when you find the source. There are other plants you don't have names for. Dark, leaved things growing in the shade at the base of the far wall. Something with tiny yellow flowers colonizing a whole section of broken paving. A fig tree growing out of a gap in the brick, not large enough to cast real shade yet, but solid and determined. The garden ends at another wall, this one higher than the others, with niches cut into it at regular intervals, for statues maybe. The niches are empty now, the stone is streaked where water has run down it over the years. It's very quiet here. The wind barely reaches. The fig tree makes a small sound when the breeze catches it. The rose canes creak just slightly, otherwise nothing. You sit on the edge of one of the low planting walls. The brick is warm. Your feet are tired. The sky overhead is deepening. 2 stars now, 3. You can see them perfectly from here. The garden opens straight up, no roof, no canopy of trees, just open sky going slowly darker. You sit there for a while, not doing anything. You find it by accident. Around the back of the garden wall, down a short passage that barely deserves the word, just a gap between two stretches of masonry, narrow enough that you turn sideways to fit through, and then a small courtyard you hadn't expected. Maybe 10 paces across, 3 walls still standing to full height, the fourth lower, open toward a view of the valley. Against one of the walls, a stone bench. Built into the wall itself, the same stone, just a thick horizontal slab. It's wide enough to lie on if you wanted. Someone else found this place before you. You can tell by the worn part of the bench, the center, where the stone is slightly smoother, darker with use. People sat here many times, over many years, possibly over many centuries. They sat here and looked at whatever view was visible then, which might have been the same view that's visible now. The valley, the distant hills going blue, the last pale light on the highest points. A small plant has grown in the angle where the bench meets the wall. Very green. It's been there a while. You sit down. The stone is cool now. All the warmth has left it. But the wall at your back still holds some heat, and you lean into it. From here you can hear the water you heard earlier, more clearly now. Somewhere on the other side of the low wall, at the edge of the courtyard, a slow sound, not rushing, just moving. The breeze has mostly stopped. The air is very still. The light is almost gone from the valley, though the hilltops are still faintly bright. You sit with your back against the warm wall and your feet on the cool paving and look at the view. And the view doesn't ask anything of you. And that's exactly right. After a while, you follow the sound of the water. The cloister is smaller than the main buildings, set back, sheltered, almost hidden behind a length of wall you walked past twice before noticing the opening. But once you're inside, everything changes. The garden in the center is overgrown, but gently, not the wild growth of abandoned places, more like a garden that's been left to find its own way. Low plants spreading across the old paving, moss on the stone edges. In the center, a fountain, and the fountain is running. You stand still for a moment. The water is just barely moving, a thin thread from a stone spout into a shallow basin, no pressure, just gravity, the sound like something breathing. The basin is full, clear. You can see the bottom of it, the old stone dark with years of water, a few dead leaves resting there undisturbed. You walk around the edge of the cloister. The arches are low and regular. Some of them have lost their columns and been filled in with later stonework, different colored stone, slightly rougher. Others are intact, the columns still in place, their bases wrapped in moss. You run your hand along the wall as you walk. The sound of the water stays constant. It doesn't vary with the wind. It doesn't change with the light. You stop at the far side of the fountain and sit on the edge of the basin. The stone here is cool and slightly damp. You can hear the water falling, the small sound it makes when it hits the surface, the faint movement settling. The cloister is very sheltered. No wind reaches here. The plants in the center barely move. The moss on the arches is perfectly still. It's a different kind of quiet from the rest of the ruins, older somehow, more decided. You cup your hands under the spout and let the water run over them. It's cold, very cold. You hold it there for a moment and then let it go. There are steps on the far side of the cloister, cut into the rise of the hill behind it. They're steep, and some of them have come loose over the years, shifting a few inches out of place. You take them slowly, one hand on the rough stone of the wall that runs up beside them. The wall is original, you think. It feels old, that particular density that very old stone has, as though the years have made it heavier. At the top of the steps, a terrace, and from the terrace the whole of the ruins laid out below you. You stand at the edge and look. It's larger than you thought when you were walking through it, much larger. You can see the roofless walls stretching in both directions, the broken columns in their rows, the courtyard you first entered, now looking small and orderly from this height. Beyond the ruins, the Campagna, the wide plain going dark in all directions. A few lights visible in the far distance, farmhouses or small towns. The hills along the horizon have lost their color and become shapes, dark curves against the sky. The sky is full of stars now. Not a few, not the first ones, all of them, or as many as you can see in a clear sky away from the city. They don't look scattered. They look arranged carefully by someone who knew what they were doing. The air up here is cooler. There's a faint wind, just enough to notice. It doesn't feel cold. It feels like the temperature of a room that's been empty a long time and has settled into itself. You stand at the edge of the terrace and look at the ruins below and the stars above and the long dark plain in every direction. The distance doesn't make you feel small so much as very still. You're in no hurry. You stay there until the stars are all the way out. You come back down the steps slowly, one at a time. The ruins are different in the dark, not frightening, just different. The stone is pale where the starlight catches it. The shadows between the walls deep and absolute. The path back through the Colonnaded Hall is easy to find because the columns make a corridor and the stars show you where it goes. Your footsteps sound different at night, slower, more deliberate. The temperature has dropped steadily since you were in the cloister, but it's not cold, just the right temperature for being still. Your body has adjusted. You don't notice it anymore. From somewhere in the ruins, the night insects have started. A low sound, almost constant. The kind of sound that becomes part of the silence rather than interrupting it. It rises and falls very gently, following patterns you can't quite track. You pass through the Colonnaded Hall. The floor patterns you could barely see before are invisible now, but you walk the center of the hall anyway, where the floor is flattest, your footsteps marking a straight line you can feel without seeing. The courtyard is lit from above, the open sky reflecting just enough light to make the paving stones visible. You walk to the middle and stop. The ruins all around you are quiet. Not empty, just quiet. The plants that grew through every crack are still. The bird that was calling before has stopped. The water in the cloister fountain is still running. You can hear it very faintly from here. That thin, steady sound. Above you, the stars are moving. Not fast, so slowly that you can't see it happening, but you know they are. They've been moving all night. They'll still be moving when everything else is still. You stand in the middle of the courtyard and let your breathing slow. You've been walking a long time. Your feet are settled, your shoulders have dropped. The air is the right temperature, the night is the right kind of quiet. You find a place near the garden wall, a shallow niche in the old brick, just wide enough to sit in with your back against the stone. The brick still holds a trace of warmth from the day, not much, just enough to notice. The ground in front of you is covered with something soft, old moss and fallen leaf matter, packed down by years of rain. You sit. The garden is very close. You can smell the roses, that faint, pale sweetness, and the thyme that grows between the paving stones. The fig tree makes no sound. The night insects fill the quiet without taking it away. The stars are fully out now, every single one of them. Through the opening at the top of the ruined wall, you can see a section of sky, just one section, an irregular shape framed by old stone, and it's full of light. Not bright light, just present, persistent. Your breathing is slowed on its own. You didn't choose to slow it, it just happened. The stone at your back is steady. The ground under you is soft enough. The smell of the garden is still there, just at the edge of notice. Roses and thyme and something earthier underneath. The smell of stone that's been warm all day. The water in the cloister is still running. You can hear it just. That thin, even sound, like something breathing very slowly, very steadily, like it's been doing this for a long time and will keep doing it. The ruins are perfectly quiet around you. The walls are standing. The columns are standing. Everything is where it's been for a very long time. You close your eyes. The stars are still there. You know they're still there. The light they make doesn't disappear when you close your eyes. It just changes into something on the inside of your eyelids, warm and faint and even. The garden breathes, the water runs, you let the night take over.